Good day. Let's take a look at your filarial worms. Okay. Yes. Your filarial worms include your 8 known species of filarial nematodes that use humans as their final host. Okay, you have your Wuchereria bancrofti, Brogia malayi, Loa loa, Onchocerca volvulus, Mansonella ozardi, Dipetalonema perstans, Acantholonema perstans. Okay, again, these are the 8 known species of filarial nematodes that use humans as their definitive host. Okay, the habitat of your adult is your lymphatic system, while the habitat of the microfilaria is the blood. Okay, the habitat of the microfilaria is the blood. And the final host of your filarial worms, the definitive host, you have your man. And yes, it requires an intermediate host. You have your mosquito or your arthropods. The intermediate host of your filarial worms, you have your mosquito or the arthropods. Okay, your infective stage to the intermediate host is you have the microfilariae, and then the infective stage to humans, that is your filiform larva, or the third stage microfilariae. Again, the infective stage to humans is the filiform larva or third stage microfilariae. Please note that this filiform larva is present in your arthropod or in the vector or in the intermediate host. And then the diagnostic stage, your adults are found in the lymphatics or in the lymphatic system. And then your microfilaria, they are found in the blood. Okay, microfilaria are found in the blood accordingly. As for the mode of transmission, okay, that is the mode of transmission is that is your bite of an infected arthropod. Okay, bite of an infected arthropod. Okay, moving on, let's take a look at your filarial worms. Your filarial worms, the adult is thread-like, creamy white, and is 2 to 50 centimeters in length. Okay, and yes, you have the larval stage, which is snake-like with a column of cells in the anterior to posterior portion, and you call this column of cells as the nuclei. And then your microfilaria, that it measures 270 to 290 micrometers and is closed in a hyaline sheath, which is much longer than the microfilaria itself. Again, your microfilaria is enclosed in a hyaline sheath. Okay, and it is highly motile and thread-like, and this is found in the blood of infected human. Okay, again, your microfilaria, when stained, the central axis shows your dark staining nuclei, which this one serves as an important identifying feature. And the column of nuclei is arranged in 2 or 3 rows and is distinctly conspicuous. Okay, especially when stained. And yes, microfilariae, they have several curvatures and they present a graceful appearance accordingly. Yeah, graceful. Okay. Yes. As for your sheath, again, this one is a hyaline sheath that covers, okay, the microfilaria. And yes, your sheath is a translucent eggshell remnant covering the body of the microfilaria and past the head and tail accordingly. Okay, and so you have what you call a sheathed microfilariae and unsheathed microfilariae. Your sheathed microfilariae include your Wuchereria bancrofti, Brugia malayi, and Loa loa, while your unsheathed microfilariae, it will include your Onchocerca volvulus, Mansonella perstans, Dipetalonoma streptocerca, and Mansonella ozardi. Okay. Also, your filaria or your filarial worms exhibit also periodicity. Your periodicity here is the rhythmical appearance of microfilariae in the peripheral blood. Okay, and so they can be nocturnal or diurnal. And yes, this periodicity also is a biologic adaptation of the parasite to the time of maximum biting activity of the vector. Okay, and so again, that is a biological adaptation of the parasite to the time of maximum biting activity of your vector. This one will somewhat increase the transmission. Okay, the acquiring of the parasite, and then of course the transmission also of the parasite. Again, periodic, they are either nocturnal or diurnal. But then there are what they call this microfilaria or filarial worms that are non-periodic. Okay, let's take a look at your what you call this filarial worms. Okay, the three here you have your Wuchereria bancrofti, Brugia malai, and Loa Loa. These are sheathed. Okay, and so please note again, you have a sheath. Okay, and so that covers the microfilariae. Okay, that is your hyaline sheath. Okay, comparing it with your unsheathed microfilariae, Manzanella ozardi, please note that there is no extension. Okay, and so there is no outer covering. Okay, for your sheathed, again, you have your Wuchereria bancrofti, Brugia malai, and Loa Loa. And your unsheathed, you have Manzanella ozardi, Manzanella perstans, Manzanella streptocerca, and Onchocerca volvulus. Okay, let's take a look at your Wuchereria bancrofti. Your Wuchereria bancrofti is otherwise known as your Bancroft's filarial worm. Okay, it causes Bancroftian filariasis and elephantiasis of the lower extremities. Also, other diseases, you have your Wuchereriasis accordingly. The male the male worm is 4 centimeters in length by 0.1 mm in width, and the female is 8 to 10 centimeters in length by 0.2 to 0.3 mm. Okay, please note again that in your nematodes, the female is generally they are larger. And for your female of your Wuchereria bancrofti, it is viviparous. The habitat is your lymph vessel and your lower lymph glands. And the vector, you have your Aedes species, Anopheles species, Culex species, Mansonia species, and Coqueletida juxtamansonia. Coqueletida juxtamansonia also. Okay? And yes, your Wuchereria bancrofti develops inside the vector for 6 to 20 days. Okay, your Wuchereria bancrofti microfilaria develops inside the vector for 6 to 20 days. And then after that, okay, and so once introduced into humans, this what you call this infective stage will develop in the vessels of humans for 6 months. Again, for 6 months. And the lifespan, that is 5 years. The lifespan of your Wuchereria bancrofti is 5 years. As for the specimen utilized for diagnosis, you have blood. Okay, blood for the identification of microfilariae. Okay, this one is an illustration of your of your Wuchereria bancrofti. Again, you have here, it shows you your sheath. Okay, you have, since your Wuchereria is sheathed, okay, and so you have the sheath, the hyaline sheath. Okay, and yes, this is tail, your cephalic space. Okay, and so that is for your cephalic space. Yes, let's take a look. Your Wuchereria bancrofti, again, this one is sheathed and it has no nuclei in the tail. The tail is pointed. Again, for your Wuchereria bancrofti, the tail is pointed. Okay, the sheath is stained slightly with gemsa. And yes, the body curvature is regular, smooth, and it has a short cephalic space as shown in the image earlier. The body nuclei is coarse and well separated, but then please note that the pointed tail, it does not have the pointed tail of your Wuchereria bancrofti does not possess it does not possess nuclei. Okay, that is for your Wuchereria bancrofti. Okay, and yes, as for the periodicity, it is nocturnal. Okay, it is nocturnal. Also, it is the periodicity is also important in what we call this sample in sampling. Okay, and so in getting a sample for diagnosis also. Okay, yes. Again, this one is an illustration of your microfilariae. Please note again that it is sheathed. And yes, okay, and so the tail here is pointed. Okay, the tail is pointed. And yes, okay, and so the nuclei are well separated. Okay, the nuclei are well separated, but then please note that there is no nuclei at the pointed tail. Okay, again, this one is a microscopic illustration, microscopic image of your microfilariae. Okay, and so yes, you have the sheath, which is again longer than the body. Okay, this one is your anterior portion, this one is your tail portion. Okay, this one is another okay illustration of your microfilariae. Okay, please notice your what you call this, your body nuclei. Okay, and yes, you have your Brugia malayi. Your Brugia malayi, this one is otherwise known as your Malayan filarial worm. It causes your Malayan filariasis and elephantiasis of your upper extremities. Okay, the male is 13 to 23 millimeters in length, and the female is 43 to 55 millimeters in length. Still, it is larger. The female is larger. The habitat, you have your lymph vessels and lymph glands, and the vector, it will include your genus Mansonia. And the vector of your Brugia malayi, it will again include your what you call this genus Mansonia together with your Anopheles species. Together again with your Anopheles species. Okay? Inside the mosquito, okay, inside the mosquito, the microfilaria that is ingested from the humans will develop within 2 weeks. Okay, will develop in 2 weeks. And then, okay, and so it will introduce the infective stage to the humans, and inside the humans, inside the vessels of your humans, it will develop within 3 to 9 months. Again, it will develop within 3 to 9 months accordingly. Okay. It is sheathed and the tail has two separate nuclei. Again, it is sheathed and the tail, the blunt tail has two separate nuclei. Please note that the sheath of your Brugia malayi stains deeply with gemsa. Okay, in contrast with Wuchereria bancrofti, which stains lightly with gemsa. Okay, the body curves are irregular and twisted, and the cephalic space is long for your Brugia malayi, and then the body nuclei are coarse and tend to overlap. It has a blunt tip, and yes, for the periodicity, it is nocturnal. Okay, nocturnal accordingly. Okay, this one actually accordingly is an illustration of your Brugia malayi. Okay, and so please note the sheath. It is deeply stained. Okay, it is deeply stained. Okay, with gemsa. Okay, and yes, the what you call this, the body nuclei, they overlap accordingly. Okay, and so let's take a look at this for your Rugia malai. Okay, it has a pointed tail, or yes, a pointed tail. Sorry, it has a blunt tip. Okay, and so yes, it has a blunt tip with a what you call this, two nuclei. Okay, and so please note there are two nuclei present at the tip, at the tail, at the blunt tip. Okay, and then you have your loa loa. Your loa loa, this one is otherwise known as eye worm or the loa worm. Okay, and so this one They are the adults of your lower loa are often isolated from your subconjunctiva. That is why probably it is called as your eye worm. It causes loasis, fugitive swellings, and calabar swellings. Okay, fugitive swellings and calabar swellings. Okay, the diameter of the swelling is 5 to 10 centimeters accordingly. The diameter of the swelling is 5 to 10 centimeters. Okay, and yes, okay, and so the migration rate under the skin is 1 inch per 2 minutes. Okay, and so as for the male of this one, you have 30 to 34 millimeters by 0.35 to 0.43. And then for the female, it's still larger, 40 to 70 millimeters in length by 0.5 mm in width. Okay, the habitat is your subcutaneous tissue. Again, the habitat is your subcutaneous tissue, but then it can also include your muscular tissues accordingly. Okay, and yes, as for your vector, it will include your Chrysop species. Under this, it will include your deer fly and mango fly. And yes, maturation inside your, what you call this, maturation inside your intermediate host, which is your deer fly or your mango fly. Okay, it will take 10 to 12 days. It will take 10 to 12 days. And then in the subcutaneous tissue, it will take 1 year. Okay, and so subcutaneous tissue will take 1 year. And please note that the lifespan of Loa Loa is 1 to 15 years accordingly. 1 to 15 years. Okay, as for the specimen utilized for diagnosis, it utilizes blood. Okay, it utilizes blood. Okay, your loa loa is sheathed. Okay, and the rounded tip is it has a nuclei that is continuous up to the tip of the tail. Okay, and the sheath is colorless with gemsa. Again, the sheath is colorless with gemsa. Okay, and yes, again, the nuclei is continuous up to the tip of the tail, and the tail is rounded. It has irregular and twisted body curvatures, and it has a long cephalic space. It has a long cephalic space, and again, the body nuclei are coarse and tend to overlap accordingly. And yes, as for the periodicity, it is diurnal. Okay, it is best to collect sample for diagnosis during the day. Okay, that is for your loa loa. Okay, and so this one is an illustration of your loa loa. Please note that it has a rounded tip. Okay, it has a rounded tip. Okay, it has a rounded tip. And yes, please note that the nuclei, okay, and so are coarse, and yes, they again tend to overlap, and you have the nuclei present at the tip. Okay, and so looking at this again, you have your loa loa here. Okay, and so you have here the tail. Please note there is a nuclei. The nuclei is continuous. Okay, and so to the tip. Okay, comparing it, of course, with your other microfilariae. Okay, and then you have your unsheathed microfilariae, which will include, of course, your Onchocerca volvulus, Mansonella perstans, Mansonella streptocerca, and Mansonella ozardi. Okay, and so your Onchocerca volvulus, this one is otherwise known as the blinding worm or your convoluted filaria. Your blinding worm or your convoluted filaria. It causes onchocerciasis, onchocercosis, and river blindness. Okay, or blinding filariasis also. Okay, the male of this one is 19 to 42 centimeters in length by 130 to 210 micrometers. As for the female, it is larger still at 50 centimeters in length by 270 to 400 micrometers accordingly. The habitat is your subcutaneous tissues. Again, the habitat is your subcutaneous tissues, and your vector will include your Cymolium species. Okay, and so under your Cymolium species, you have your black flies and your buffalo flies. You have your black flies and your buffalo flies. The sample for the utilized for diagnosis is your skin snips. As for the development inside the vector, your Onchocerca volvulus will develop in your vector within 6 to 10 days. 6 to 10 days. And once introduced in humans, okay, in the subcutaneous tissue, it will develop for less than 1 year. Again, in the subcutaneous tissues, it will develop for less than 1 year. And as for the lifespan, accordingly, it is 5 years. Okay, it is 5 years. And yes, your Onchocerca volvulus, it is not sheathed. There is no nuclei in the pointed tail. Again, it is not sheathed and there is no nuclei in the pointed tail. Okay, it has irregular, slightly twisted body curves. It has a large and bulbous cephalic space. It has also a coarse body nuclei that is mostly separated, and it is non-periodic. Again, it is non-periodic. Okay, let's take a look at your Manzonella perstans. Your Manzonella perstans, this one is, again, not sheathed. It is unsheathed. It causes your dipetalonemiasis. Again, it causes your dipetalonemiasis. The male is 45 millimeters in length, and the female is 80 millimeters in length. Again, it is larger. The habitat, your body cavities. Your body cavities. Okay, and for your vector, it will include your Culicoides species. Okay, and so Culicoides species, please note that this species, they are night biting. Okay, and so development, as for the development inside the vector, your Manzonella perstans develops within 7 to 10 days. Okay, and so it develops within 7 to 10 days. And yes, okay, and so for the specimen utilized for the diagnosis, you have blood. Okay, peripheral blood, of course. Okay, and so it is unsheathed and nuclei is present up to the tip of the rounded tail. Again, nuclei is present up to the tip of the rounded tail. Okay, that is for your Manzonella perstans or Dipetalonema perstans. Okay, it has a large cephalic space. It has a large cephalic space, and the medium-sized body nuclei tend to overlap accordingly. And please note, this one is non-periodic. This one is non-periodic. Okay. To your Manzonella streptocerca. Your Manzonella streptocerca, it causes your streptocerciasis. Okay, streptocerciasis. The sample is blood. The sample for diagnosis is blood. And the vector is a Culicoides species. Okay, and so Culicoides species accordingly. It is not sheathed, but then there is the nuclei that is present at the curved tip. Okay, and so nuclei is present at the tip. Okay, and so the tip of this one is curved. Okay, you have the nuclei, they are fine and separated accordingly. It has a large cephalic space and it is non-periodic. Okay, and so mostly in your unsheathed microfilariae, they are non-periodic. Okay, and then finally you have your Manzonella ozardi. Your Manzonella ozardi, it is otherwise known as your ozards. Okay, filaria. Or the disease caused, you have your ozards filariasis or Manzonelliasis ozardi. Okay, the female is 65 to 81 millimeters in length by 0.2 to 0.25 millimeters. Okay, and the habitat, it will include your body cavities, together with your mesentery and visceral fat. Your sample for the diagnosis, you have your blood, and then your vector will include your Culicoides species. Okay, and so also black flies, biting midgets, accordingly, are vector of your Manzanella ozardi. Okay, and so as for the development inside your vector, okay, and so your Manzanella ozardi develops in your vector within 6 to 8 days. Okay, and yes, please note that your Manzanella ozardi causes serous cavity filariasis in the abdomen. Again, it causes serous cavity filariasis in the abdomen. Okay, it is not sheathed. Your Manzanella ozardi is not sheathed, and the nuclei is absent at the tail. Yes, it has a pointed tip. Okay, you have the body curves are regular, slightly twisted body curves. It has a large cephalic space, and the body nuclei is fine, and most of these body nuclei are separated. Again, it has a pointed tip, and your Manzanella ozardi is non-periodic. Again, the microfilaria is non-periodic. Okay, and so for your unsheathed microfilariae, they are non-periodic. For your sheathed, they are periodic. Okay, for your sheathed again, they are periodic. For your Wucheria bancrofti, it is nocturnal, and then your Bruguier malai also is nocturnal, while your Loa Loa is diurnal in terms of periodicity. Okay, and so yes, let's take a look at this one. For your Wucheria bancrofti. Okay, and so we said earlier that your Wucheria bancrofti, it has a pointed tip. Okay, and so it has a pointed tip and it has no nuclei. Okay, which is yes, there is no nuclei at the pointed tip. And your what you call this, your cephalic space is short. Okay, and this is your cephalic space. It is short. As for your loa loa, okay, and so you have two widely spaced, okay, and so two widely spaced nuclei at your blunt tip. Okay, sorry, for your Bruguier malai. Okay, and so you have two widely spaced nuclei, widely spaced, please note, widely spaced, and a blunt tip. Okay, and then you have your what you call this cephalic space that is large or long. Okay, it is long. And then for your loa loa, nuclei is present at the rounded tip. Okay, and so rounded tip, there is a nuclei that is present at the rounded tip. And then for your cephalic space, it is larger. Okay, yes, this is larger. Okay, and so moving on to your Manzanella, Manzanella perstans. Your Manzanella perstans, nuclei is present at the rounded tip accordingly. Okay, and so Manzanella perstans, nuclei is present at the rounded tip. And then as for your cephalic space, it is large. Yes, it is large for your Manzanella ozardi. Okay, and so it has a large cephalic space still. And yes, there is no nuclei at the pointed tip. Okay, there is no nuclei. And then for your Onchocerca volvulus, it has a pointed tip which has no nuclei still. Okay, and so you have that one. Okay, and then for the cephalic space, it is large. Okay, it is large. And then for your Manzanella streptocerca, okay, and so your Manzanella streptocerca, you have a rounded tip that has a nuclei. Okay, and so Manzanella streptocerca, the rounded tip has nuclei. And then for your cephalic space, it is large. Okay, the cephalic space is large. Okay, that is for your microfilariae. Okay, for your microfilariae, of course, these are your sheathed microfilariae, and then you have your unsheathed microfilariae. Please note that, of course, these characteristics that we showed earlier, or yes, they are utilized in to distinguish. Okay, and so this microfilariae. Okay. Again, a diagrammatic illustration, you have here, of course, your Wucheria bancrofti, your Bugia malai, and then your unsheathed, you have your Manzanella ozardi, and the rest. Okay? As for the life cycle, please note that your adult females produce your microfilariae. And yes, your adult females, they reside in your lymphatics. Okay, and so they reside in your lymph vessels or your lymph glands together with your subcutaneous tissues and in your body cavities accordingly. Okay, and yes, this adult female, of course, that produces your microfilariae. This microfilariae will gain entrance. This microfilariae will gain entrance to your peripheral blood circulation, of course, where they are picked up by your appropriate mosquito vector during the blood meal. Okay. Again, your adult are present in the subcutaneous tissue, and microfilariae, they are what we call this introduced in the peripheral circulation, and the microfilariae is uh, ingested, okay, by your vector mosquito or arthropod during a blood meal. Okay, and yes, usually again, as what we said earlier, the vectors, you have your mosquitoes belonging to your genera, your Aedes, Culex, Anopheles, Culicoides. Okay, and so but then in case of Wucheria bancrofti, you have the genera, your Aedes, Culex, and Anopheles. Okay, and so they are the biologic vectors of your Wucheria bancrofti. Okay, and so this microfilaria is ingested by the intermediate host, which is of course the vector, and the microfilariae will develop into the infective stage in the arthropod. Okay, microfilaria is ingested by the mosquito, and then it will migrate to the muscles of the mosquito where it develops. Okay, and so microfilaria is ingested by the mosquito. Inside the mosquito, the microfilaria will migrate to the muscles, where this microfilaria will develop first, of course, into first stage, and then first stage larva, and then second stage, and then third stage. Okay, third stage larva, that is what they call this third stage larva is your infective stage to humans. Okay. So what we said earlier, in case of Wucheria bancrofti, you have 6 to 20 days of development. Okay, 6 to 20 days, your microfilaria will develop inside your vector for 6 to 20 days. Okay, and so by that time, after 20 days, and you already have your third stage microfilaria, and this one is ready to infect a human. Okay, what will happen after 6 to 20 days of development? The third stage larva will force their way out of the muscles. The third stage larva will force their way out of the muscles of your mosquito, causing considerable damage. And yes, they migrate toward the proboscis, or to the head first, of course, of the mosquito, and then to the proboscis. Again, they migrate from the muscles. This third stage larva will migrate to uh, the head of the mosquito, and then to the proboscis. Okay, and so during a blood meal, the larva emerge from the proboscis onto the skin of your susceptible host. And yes, they will actively penetrate the skin through the bite wound to reach the lymphatic vessels. of course, your lymphatic vessels, your lymph nodes, where of course they develop into adult worm. Again, your infective larva enter the skin at the arthropod feeding stage. Please note that this infective larva of your of filarial worms, they are present at the proboscis. That is the biting. Okay, that is uh, the biting device of your mosquito. And then, of course, your larva, once introduced in the circulation, the larva will migrate and develop to adult in the human tissues. Okay, this one is a what you call this? This one is your life cycle of your Wuchereria bancrofti. Okay, and so your mosquito takes a blood meal. Okay, and so yes, your mosquito takes a blood meal. Okay, and so in that mosquito, it has the third stage larva. Okay, the third stage larva is then transferred into the circulation of the human. Okay, and then from the circulation, the larva will move to the lymphatics and then it will mature. Okay, and so it will mature. And yes, your adults produce a sheathed microfilariae since this is Wuchereria bancrofti, and this microfilariae migrate into the lymphatic and peripheral blood circulation. Okay, and so in the peripheral blood circulation, a mosquito or an arthropod or the vector bites the infected human, and then the filariae will develop in the biologic vector, and of course, the cycle continues. And that mosquito again will bite a susceptible host, and then the cycle continues. Okay, that is for your what they call this life cycle of your filarial worms. Okay, this one is another for your Brugia malai. Okay, and so same still, the mosquito takes a blood meal, the mosquito that harbors the infective stage, of course. Okay, and then of course the cycle continues. The third stage larva will migrate and develop in your lymph vessels. And then from your lymph vessels, the mature filarial worm will produce microfilariae, and then the microfilariae will move out of the lymph vessels to the blood, to the circulation. And then from that, again, so a vector bites, okay, and yes, the microfilariae is transferred to the vector, and then inside the vector, okay, and so this microfilariae will develop into the third stage larva and then bite again another susceptible host. Okay, as for the pathology and symptoms, please note that, okay, and so your filarial worms that live in the subcutaneous fats under the skin include your loa loa, or you have this one as otherwise known again as your African eyeworm. You have your Mansionella streptocerca and your Onchocerca volvulus. Okay, and so they what we call this, they live in your subcutaneous fat, while your lymphatic filariasis is caused by Wuchereria bancrofti together with Brugia malai. And you have another one, Brugia timori, accordingly. Okay. As for the larva, it causes tropic pulmonary eosinophilia. Okay, the larva causes tropic pulmonary eosinophilia. And then, as for your adult, of course, it causes elephantiasis. Elephantiasis, the adults become lodged in the lymphatic system, and then these worms, of course, will cause lymphedema, lymphangitis, and in chronic cases, they cause elephantiasis. Again, in chronic cases. Okay, you have here what we call as your hydrocele, that is the inflammation of the scrotum. and then your upper lymphatics. Okay, and so the ones that infect your upper lymphatics, you have your Brugia malayi, and the ones that infect your lower lymphatics, you have your Wucheria bancrofti. Okay, usually, accordingly, infection is usually acquired in childhood, but then it may take years for it to manifest. Please note, going back again at the development of your filaria earlier, we said that in case of Wucheria bancrofti, it will develop in the vessels of man for 6 months, while for your Brugia malayi, 3 to 6 months, and then for your Loa Loa, for 1 year in the subcutaneous tissue, 1 year development. And then for your onchocerca, you have less than 1 year in the subcutaneous tissue and the rest. Okay, and so yes, infection is usually acquired in childhood but may take years to manifest. Okay, and so you have actually asymptomatic microfilaremia, acute dermatolymphangiadenitis, or your ADLA, which is previously known as your adenolemphangitis, acute filarial lymphangitis, lymphedema, and elephantiasis, together with genitourinary lesions, which will include your hydrocele accordingly. And of course, you have your tropical or your tropic pulmonary eosinophilia. All of these ones are manifestations of your filarial worm infection. Okay, and please note that the most common chronic manifestation of lymphatic filariasis is lymphedema, which of course, this one on progression will lead to elephantiasis. Lymphedema will progress to elephantiasis. Elephantiasis usually of the lower limbs, okay, and will include accordingly your male genitalia. Okay, in that case, you have your hydrocele or your chylocele that results in the obstruction of the lymphatics of your tunica vaginalis. Once, of course, it is what you call this obstructed, then it will not, the fluid is not drained. Okay, and please note that in some cases, your uh, lymphatics, okay, the lymphatics of your kidney will rupture. In some cases, lymphatics of your kidney will rupture, thereby producing a chylous urine, okay, producing a chyluria. Again, in heavy cases or heavy infection of in heavy filariasis infection, rupture of lymphatics in the kidney may produce chylous urine or chyluria. Okay, and yes, okay, and so please note that of course in places in the Philippines like your Bicol region, because in Bicol region filaria, I mean filarial worm infection is endemic. Okay, in Bicol region, hydrocells are more frequently encountered than elephantiasis of the extremities. Okay, and so yes, what do you call this? Chronic lymphatic filariasis infection. Okay, and so will present fibrosis and the cellular hyperplasia in and around the lymphatic walls. Okay, and so with this, it will chronic lymphatic filariasis infection will present fibrosis and cellular hyperplasia. What will happen here? Your endothelial cells are less effective at transporting your interstitial fluid. Okay, and yes, thereby this will contribute to the edema and collagen accumulation at the area. And yes, you have what you call also as occult filariasis. This one, your occult filariasis. This they are hidden deep in the body, like your lungs. Okay, and for your occult filariasis, this has, in case of occult filariasis with pulmonary or asthmatic symptoms, but then there is no microfilaria in the blood. Again, in occult filariasis, okay, and so there is a pulmonary or asthmatic symptom, but there is no microfilaria in the blood. Okay, this one is an illustration of elephantiasis, of course, of the lower extremities. Okay, another one, an illustration of a hydrocele. Hydrocele, okay, obstruction of your tunica lymphatics of your tunica vaginalis in your scrotum. Okay, for what they call this one actually is an infograph of your lymphatic filariasis. Okay, and so I lifted this one from WHO. Of course, this is the normal one, and the other one, it has, of course, your elephantiasis. Okay, and so as for the disease again, filarial parasites, okay, and then it will impair the function of your lymph vessels in draining your interstitial fluid. Okay, and yes, it is vector-borne. Okay, let's move on to your laboratory. Usually you have your wet smears and thick smears stained with Wright's Gemsa, or for your Wright stain, Gemsa stain, and Delafield hematoxylin can also be used. Okay, and so but then there are times that it will give a negative result despite the presence of symptoms. Okay, and so the negative results are due to low intensity of infection, presence of dead worm, and obstructed lymphatics. Obstructed lymphatics. Again, in case of Wucheria bancrofti, okay, and so samples are taken between 8 p.m. and 4 a.m. Since again, they are nocturnal. Okay, since they are nocturnal. Okay, again, samples should be taken between 8 p.m. and 4 a.m. But then, as what we said earlier, in chronic infections, the microfilariae may not be demonstrable in the peripheral blood. Okay, and so that is why you have your what you call this your diethyl carbamazine provocative test, your DEC or your diethyl carbamazine provocative test. It utilizes 3 milligrams per kilogram of DEC single dose. Okay, and so it will stimulate your microfilariae to come out to your peripheral circulation, allowing blood smear collection even during the daytime. Okay, and so for this one. Okay, and so you can also make use of capillary blood. You prepare two thick smear with, and then of course you stain with Gemsa. And then you have your Gemsa stain. Please note that that is still the method of choice. Your Gemsa stain is your method of choice. And then your nuts technique, nuts concentration technique. This one is done if there are low number of microfilariae. And this one is utilized for isolation. Okay, and so you make use of 1 ml whole blood plus 10 ml 2% formalin. And then you centrifuge. Okay, you centrifuge, of course, at 500 times gravity, and then you decant, you get the sediment and prepare thin and thick smears. Okay, and so thin and thick smears. Of course, your formalin accordingly will lyse. Okay, and so your blood accordingly. And then you have your filtration using your nucleopore or millipore membrane. You make use of 1 ml of fresh or anticoagulated blood and lyse the cells by adding 10 ml distilled water and then pass it through a Swiney filter membrane and yes, examine the filter membrane. Of course, microscopically examine the filter membrane for the presence of microfilariae because again, okay, the diagnostic stage of your uh of these filarial worms, you have your microfilaria. And also microfilaria, that is the infective stage to your intermediate host. And then you have your skin snips. Your skin snips, of course, this one is utilized. Okay, and so for uh infection with what they call this infection with filarial worms that inhabit your subcutaneous tissues like your Onchocerca volvulus and Pansonella streptocerca. Okay. As for this one, you use a corneal scleral punch accordingly, corneal scleral punch or a scalpel and needle. And then the tissue or the skin snip, incubate the sample for 30 minutes to 2 hours in saline or culture medium. Okay, you incubate the sample for 30 minutes to 2 hours in saline or culture medium, and then after that, you examine for microfilariae that would probably migrate from the tissue to the liquid phase of the sample. Okay, that is for your skin snips. And then you have your capillary tube method. You make use of your heparinized capillary tube and then spin and examine the buffy coat layer. Examine the buffy coat layer. And then you have your immunoassay. For your immunoassay, you are going to detect here your antigen. Detect your circulating filarial antigens. Please note that this detection or antigen detection or detection of your circulating filarial antigen is accordingly the preferred method since it also detects latent infection. And yes, same, it utilizes ICP. Okay, it utilizes ICP card. Okay, and then yes, you can make use also of molecular diagnostics and adult worm identification also. Adult worm identification, you can make use of ultrasonography to demonstrate live worms in the lymphatics, contrast lymphangiography. Okay, and so using radio-labeled albumin or dextran accordingly, and subcutaneous biopsies for removal of the eyeworm in case of loa loa infection. Okay. As for the treatment, you make use of diethyl carbamazine or hartrazan. This one is a filaricidal piperazine derivative. This one kills both microfilaria and some adult worm of Wuchereria and Bruguier malayi. Okay. Yes, periodic mass treatment, a single dose of diethyl carbamazine for 6 months. You can also make use of ivermectin, and this one is more effective if used in combination with diethyl carbamazine. Okay. Before we move on to your prevention and control, please note that in the Philippines, you have the 4 provinces in Panay Island and also the province of Quezon. They are endemic. Okay, and so endemic, they are found to be endemic of filariasis, of what they call this, filarial worms. Okay, and so while of course your 9 provinces, these 9 provinces, your Southern Leyte, Sorsogon, Biliran, Compostela Valley, Bukidnon, Romblon, Agusan, Dinagat Islands, and North Cotabato, they are accordingly, they have reached the elimination level. Okay, and so as for this one, please note that in your Wuchereria bancrofti, okay, in Wuchereria bancrofti, they uh your Anopheles menismus variety flavirostris. This one is your vector. Okay, and so in the rural area. Okay, while your Aedes pusillus, okay, and so this is your urban vector for Bancroftian filariasis. Okay, other than your Aedes, it will also include your Culex, which we said earlier. Okay, for your Anopheles menismus variety flavirostris. Okay, and yes, as for the prevention, of course, you eliminate the presence of microfilariae in the blood. in order to prevent transmission of the disease, implementation of mass treatment program using albendazole or albendazole diethyl carbamazine combination or your DEC ivermectin. This one, they are this combination of this is 99% effective in removing microfilariae from the blood for up to 1 year from treatment. Okay, and yes, you make use of your personal protective measures that will help prevent contact with mosquito. Other than this, of course, for abaca farmers, because again, your what do you call this? Your filarial worms, they are endemic in areas where abaca, okay, is present, no? Okay, and so that is why for abaca workers, they are advised to wear long sleeve shirts, and then of course you make use of your mosquito repellents. I guess that's all. Thank you. And yes, see you around. Tara, akyat tayo.